In the exciting world of coin collecting, some of the most valuable treasures are not made of gold or silver. They are simple copper pennies that many people overlook every day. The legendary Lincoln Wheat Penny series is one of the most famous coin collections in the United States, and certain rare dates from this series have become incredibly valuable over time. First introduced in 1909 to celebrate the 100th birthday of Abraham Lincoln, this iconic penny features a timeless portrait designed by the talented sculptor Victor David Brenner. For nearly 50 years, these wheat pennies circulated across the country, quietly passing through millions of hands while hiding rare varieties that collectors now search for with great excitement. But here's the surprising part. Some of these pennies can be worth hundreds, thousands, or even tens of thousands of dollars, depending on their rarity and condition. Many of these valuable coins are still hiding in old jars, coin rolls, or family collections, waiting to be discovered. In today's video, we're going to reveal the top 4 most valuable wheat pennies that every collector dreams of finding. Before you spend that old penny in your pocket, make sure to watch until the end. You might be holding a small coin that could be worth a fortune. So let's get started. First up, the world of rare coins is filled with incredible discoveries, but few stories are as fascinating as the journey of the 1951 wheat penny. At first glance, this small copper coin might look like nothing more than ordinary pocket change. Millions of Americans used it in everyday transactions during the early 1950s, buying newspapers, candy, or a cup of coffee. Yet collectors today know that some of these humble pennies carry surprising value and historical importance. Minted in Denver and marked with the tiny but important D mint mark, the 1951 wheat penny represents a powerful piece of American coinage history. Many people still overlook these coins in jars, drawers, or old piggy banks, unaware that certain well-preserved examples or rare mint-state versions can be worth far more than 1 cent. To understand the significance of the 1951 wheat penny, we must first travel back to the era in which it was produced. The early 1950s were a time of growth and optimism in the United States. After the challenges of World War II, the country entered a period of economic expansion and cultural change. Coins like the Lincoln Wheat Penny were essential for everyday commerce. The design itself, first introduced in 1909 to honor the 100th birthday of President Abraham Lincoln, had already become one of the most recognizable coins in American history. The obverse featured the profile portrait of Lincoln, while the reverse displayed 2 elegant wheat stalks surrounding the words 1 cent and United States of America. By 1951, this design had been circulating for more than 4 decades and had become a symbol of stability and tradition in American currency. The Denver Mint played a crucial role in producing coins for the western United States, and in 1951 it struck more than 625 million Lincoln Wheat pennies with the D mint mark. Because such a large number were produced, many people assumed the coin must be extremely common and therefore not valuable. However, in the world of coin collecting, value is not determined solely by how many coins were minted. Condition, rarity of high-grade examples, and the presence of unique minting errors can dramatically increase a coin's worth. This is why collectors carefully examine every detail of the 1951 wheat penny, searching for exceptional specimens that survive decades of circulation without damage. One of the most important factors affecting the value of any coin is its grade, or state of preservation. Most 1951 wheat pennies spent years circulating through the American economy, which means they show signs of wear such as scratches, fading details, or dull surfaces. These circulated coins may only be worth a few cents or slightly more than their copper value. But when a collector discovers a mint-state example, meaning the coin looks almost exactly as it did when it left the Denver Mint, the story changes dramatically. High-grade coins with bright luster, sharp details in Lincoln's hair, and crisp wheat lines on the reverse can command significantly higher prices in the collector market. Another reason the 1951 wheat penny attracts attention is the possibility of minting errors. Throughout history, the coin-making process has occasionally produced mistakes, misaligned strikes, doubled letters, off-center designs, or unusual metal compositions. These errors are rare, and when they appear on coins from popular series, like the Lincoln Wheat Penny, Collectors are eager to add them to their collections. A 1951 D wheat penny with a noticeable error can sometimes sell for many times the value of a standard coin, turning a simple penny into an exciting numismatic discovery. Collectors also appreciate the historical context of the wheat penny series. By 1951, the design was approaching the end of its long run. Only a few years later, in 1959, the United States Mint replaced the wheat reverse with the Lincoln Memorial design. Because of this transition, late-date wheat pennies like the 1951 D represent the closing chapter of a beloved coin era. Many collectors attempt to complete full sets of wheat pennies from 1909 to 1958, and every date and mint mark is essential for completing that historical timeline. The 1951 D coin therefore holds an important place in these collections. Another fascinating aspect of coin collecting is the thrill of the hunt. Across the United States and even around the world, people still search through jars of old pennies, hoping to discover hidden treasures. The 1951 D wheat penny frequently appears in these searches because many were saved unknowingly by families decades ago. Imagine opening an old box of coins inherited from a grandparent and finding a bright, nearly perfect 1951 D wheat penny shining among the others. For collectors, moments like these are unforgettable and remind us that history often hides in the smallest objects. The copper composition of the 1951 D wheat penny also adds to its charm. Each coin was made primarily of copper, with small amounts of tin and zinc, giving it that warm reddish-brown color collectors love. Over time, copper coins developed different tones ranging from bright red to deep chocolate brown. Coins that maintain their original red color are especially prized because they show minimal oxidation and excellent preservation. When such coins appear in high grades, they can command impressive prices at auctions and coin shows. Ultimately, the story of the 1951 D wheat penny is a reminder that even the smallest pieces of currency carry powerful stories. This tiny coin witnessed a generation of American life, passing through countless hands, pockets, and cash registers during a period of prosperity and transformation. Today it continues to inspire collectors, historians, and treasure hunters who appreciate its history and potential value. Whether you discover one in circulation or inherit it from an old collection, the 1951 D wheat penny proves that extraordinary stories can hide in the most ordinary places. Next up, the story of the 1954 D wheat penny begins in a time when the world was changing rapidly, and everyday coins quietly carried the history of a nation in the palms of millions of people. In the early 1950s, Americans used pennies constantly for newspapers, candy, bus fares, and small daily purchases. Most people never stopped to look closely at the coins in their pockets, but hidden among those ordinary cents were pieces of history that would one day fascinate collectors around the world. The 1954 D wheat penny, minted in Denver and marked by the small d beneath the date, is one of those coins. At first glance, it appears simple. A copper coin with the familiar portrait of Abraham Lincoln on the front and two elegant wheat stalks on the back. Yet behind that modest design lies a story of American craftsmanship, economic growth, and the unexpected treasures that can be hiding in everyday change. To truly understand the importance of the 1954 D wheat penny, we have to travel back to the beginning of the Lincoln cent itself. The design first appeared in 1909 to celebrate the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth, making it the first U.S. circulating coin to feature a real historical figure. The portrait was created by the talented sculptor Victor David Brenner, whose artistic vision helped transform the humble penny into a powerful national symbol. On the reverse side, two wheat stalks frame the words 1 cent and United States of America, a design that quickly became beloved by the American public. For decades, the wheat penny circulated through every corner of the country, quietly witnessing everyday life, from small-town stores to bustling city markets. By the time 1954 arrived, the United States was experiencing a period of post-war prosperity and technological progress. The Denver Mint worked tirelessly to produce enough coins to support the growing economy. That year, hundreds of millions of 1954 D wheat pennies were struck and released into circulation. Because so many were minted, People often assume that these coins must be extremely common and not worth collecting. However, in the fascinating world of numismatics, rarity is only part of the story. The true value of a coin often depends on its condition, its preservation, and the possibility of unique minting errors that make certain examples far more desirable than others. Most 1954 D-wheat pennies spent decades moving from one pocket to another, collecting the marks and scratches of everyday life. These circulated coins are still interesting historical artifacts, but their value usually remains modest. Yet when collectors discover a coin that survived the years with sharp details, bright copper color, and almost no wear, the situation changes dramatically. Such coins are known as mint-state examples, meaning they appear almost exactly as they did the day they were struck at the Denver Mint. High-grade mint-state wheat pennies are much harder to find than people realize, because copper is a soft metal that easily shows signs of handling. Another reason the 1954 D-wheat penny captures the attention of collectors is the possibility of minting errors. During the coin production process, small mechanical mistakes can sometimes occur. A coin might be struck slightly off-center, display doubled lettering, or show unusual die cracks that create fascinating patterns on the surface. These rare errors transform an ordinary penny into a collectible treasure. Coin enthusiasts carefully examine each detail with magnifying glasses and specialized lighting, hoping to discover one of these remarkable variations that can dramatically increase a coin's value. The historical significance of the 1954 D-wheat penny becomes even more meaningful when we remember that the wheat design was nearing the end of its long life. Only a few years later, in 1959, the United States Mint replaced the wheat stalks with the Lincoln Memorial design. Because of this change, the later wheat pennies represent the final chapter of a beloved era in American coinage. Many collectors today aim to complete a full wheat penny collection spanning from 1909 to 1958, and each date and mint mark plays an important role in that historical set. The 1954 D coin stands proudly within that timeline, representing the final years before the design transition. Collectors also appreciate the beautiful copper color that wheat pennies display. When freshly minted, these coins shine with a bright red glow that reflects the purity of their copper composition. Over decades, the metal slowly changes color, developing deeper tones ranging from reddish brown to dark chocolate brown. Coins that still retain their original bright red surfaces are especially prized because they show minimal exposure to air and handling. Finding a brilliant red 1954 D-wheat penny after more than 70 years is like discovering a tiny time capsule from the past. One of the most exciting aspects of coin collecting is the idea that treasures can still be found in the most ordinary places. Many people have jars of old pennies stored in drawers, closets, or basements. Some of those jars have remained untouched for generations. When collectors search through them, they often discover wheat pennies hidden among modern coins. The thrill of spotting the familiar wheat stalk design and reading a date from the 1950s instantly connects the present moment with history. The 1954 D-wheat penny is a frequent discovery during these searches, reminding collectors that valuable coins sometimes hide in plain sight. Beyond its potential value, the 1954 D-wheat penny carries emotional significance as well. Each coin traveled through countless hands during its lifetime, perhaps used by children buying candy at a neighborhood store or by workers paying for a morning newspaper. These coins silently witnessed everyday life during a fascinating period of American history. Holding one today creates a connection across generations, linking the present with the stories of people who lived more than 70 years ago. In the end, the true magic of the 1954 D-wheat penny lies in its ability to turn something ordinary into something extraordinary. It reminds us that history is not only found in museums or textbooks, but also in the small objects we often overlook. A single penny can carry decades of stories, economic history, artistic craftsmanship, and the thrill of discovery for collectors who know where to look. The next time you encounter an old penny dated 1954 with a tiny D beneath the year, pause for a moment and study it carefully. That small copper coin might be more than spare change. It might be a fascinating relic of the past, and perhaps even a hidden treasure waiting to be discovered. Next up, the story of the 1953 D. Lincoln Wheat penny begins in an era when a single penny still carried real purchasing power and quietly moved through the hands of millions of Americans every day. In the early 1950s, the United States was experiencing economic growth and cultural transformation, and coins were an essential part of everyday life. From busy city stores to small rural markets, the humble penny was constantly exchanged for small purchases like newspapers, candy bars, and bus fares. Among those everyday coins was the 1953 D. Wheat penny, minted in Denver and marked with a small D beneath the date. To most people, it looked like nothing more than ordinary change. Yet decades later, collectors and historians would come to recognize it as a fascinating piece of American numismatic history. The coin carries the familiar portrait of Abraham Lincoln on the front, while the reverse displays two elegant wheat stalks framing the words 1 cent and United States of America. This simple design became one of the most recognizable images in American currency and remained in circulation for nearly 50 years, making the wheat penny one of the longest-running coin designs in United States history. The design itself was created by the talented sculptor Victor David Brenner, whose artistic vision helped transform the American penny into something more meaningful than a simple piece of metal. When the Lincoln cent was first introduced in 1909, it marked a historic moment because it was the first circulating U.S. coin to feature a real historical figure rather than a symbolic image. The choice of Abraham Lincoln honored the 100th anniversary of his birth and quickly captured the admiration of the American public. By 1953, the Lincoln Wheat penny had already been circulating for more than 4 decades and had become deeply woven into the daily life of the nation. The Denver Mint, responsible for producing coins for the western region of the country, struck hundreds of millions of these pennies during that year to meet the growing demand of commerce. Because so many 1953 D. Wheat pennies were produced, they were widely distributed across the country and used heavily in circulation. For decades, these coins passed through pockets, cash registers, and coin jars without much attention. Most people never imagined that the same pennies they used for small purchases might one day become collectible items. Yet in the world of coin collecting, even coins with large mintages can hold surprising value depending on their condition. Over time, many 1953 D. Wheat pennies became worn from years of handling. Scratches, faded details, and darkened surfaces are common signs of circulation. However, the rare examples that survived with sharp details and original mint luster are highly prized by collectors. Condition is one of the most important factors in determining a coin's value. Numismatists carefully study every detail of a coin, examining the sharpness of Lincoln's hair, the clarity of the lettering, and the fine lines in the wheat stalks on the reverse side. When a coin appears almost exactly as it did when it left the mint, it is considered a mint-state specimen. Such coins are surprisingly difficult to find because copper is a soft metal that easily shows wear. High-grade examples of the 1953 D. Wheat penny, with brilliant copper color and minimal marks, can command impressive prices in the collector market, especially when certified by professional grading organizations. Another fascinating aspect of collecting the 1953 D. Wheat penny is the possibility of discovering minting errors. During the coin production process, small mechanical imperfections sometimes occur. A coin might display doubled letters, an off-center strike, or unusual die cracks formed when the minting dies begin to wear out. These rare variations can turn an ordinary penny into a remarkable collector's item. Enthusiasts often examine their coins with magnifying tools, hoping to find a hidden detail that sets their coin apart from the millions of others produced that year. The historical importance of the 1953 D. Wheat penny becomes even more meaningful when we remember that it was minted near the end of the wheat penny era. Only a few years later, in 1959, the United States Mint replaced the wheat reverse design with the Lincoln Memorial design. Because of this change, coins from the early and mid-1950s represent the final years of a design that had served the nation for half a century. Many collectors attempt to build a complete set of wheat pennies from 1909 through 1958, and each date and mint mark tells part of the larger story of American coinage. Beyond its collector value, the 1953 D-Wheat penny also carries a sense of nostalgia and connection to the past. Imagine the countless journeys a single penny may have taken during its lifetime. It may have been used by a child buying candy from a corner store, dropped into a jukebox in a diner, or saved in a jar by a family during the 1950s. Every coin has a silent story to tell, representing the everyday experiences of the people who used it. Holding a wheat penny today is like holding a tiny time capsule from another era, a reminder of the simple moments that shaped everyday life decades ago. The copper composition of the coin also contributes to its unique character. When freshly minted, the penny displayed a bright red shine that symbolized its newness and purity. Over the decades, exposure to air and handling gradually transformed its appearance, creating deeper shades of brown and sometimes beautiful rainbow tones known as natural toning. Collectors often categorize these coins as red, red-brown, or brown depending on how much of the original color remains. The rare coins that still maintain their full red brilliance after more than 70 years are especially prized, as they represent an extraordinary level of preservation. For modern collectors and treasure hunters, the search for wheat pennies continues to be an exciting adventure. Many people still discover these coins while searching through old coin rolls, inherited collections, or forgotten jars of spare change. Finding a 1953 D-Wheat penny among modern coins instantly sparks curiosity and excitement. It serves as a reminder that history can still appear in the most unexpected places, and that even a single penny can hold a fascinating story waiting to be uncovered. Ultimately, the 1953 D. Lincoln wheat penny stands as a symbol of how something small and seemingly ordinary can carry deep historical meaning. It represents decades of American commerce, artistry, and everyday life. Whether found in circulation, preserved in a collector's album, or discovered in an old family coin jar, this modest copper coin continues to inspire curiosity and appreciation. The next time you come across a penny dated 1953 with a tiny D beneath the year, take a moment to examine it carefully. That small coin might not only represent a piece of history, but also a hidden treasure from the remarkable era of the wheat penny. Next up, the story of the 1958 D. Lincoln wheat penny is one of the most fascinating chapters in American coin history because it represents the final year of the beloved wheat penny design that circulated through the United States for nearly half a century. For millions of Americans living in the late 1950s, a penny was simply a small coin used for everyday purchases, buying a piece of candy, a newspaper, or dropping into a vending machine. Few people at the time realized that the pennies passing through their hands were part of a historic coin series that collectors would later treasure. The 1958 D-Wheat penny, minted at the Denver Mint and identified by the small D, mint mark beneath the date, quietly became the last Denver minted coin of the wheat reverse design. Today, collectors look at this coin not just as spare change from the past, but as a symbolic ending to one of the longest-running and most iconic designs in U.S. coinage. To understand the significance of the 1958 D-Wheat penny, we must go back to the beginning of the Lincoln cent. The coin was first introduced in 1909 to honor the 100th anniversary of the birth of Abraham Lincoln, making it the first circulating American coin to feature a real historical figure rather than an allegorical symbol. The portrait of Lincoln was designed by the skilled sculptor Victor David Brenner, whose artistic vision gave the penny a dignified and recognizable appearance that has endured for generations. On the front of the coin, Lincoln's calm profile faces to the right, accompanied by the inscriptions, "In God We Trust," "Liberty," and the date. The reverse side shows two elegant wheat stalks curving along the edges, framing the words 1 cent and United States of America, with the national motto, E Pluribus Unum above. This wheat design became deeply associated with American daily life, appearing in the pockets and purses of citizens for nearly 50 years. By the time 1958 arrived, the wheat penny had already served the country through wars, economic challenges, and periods of prosperity. The Denver Mint produced hundreds of millions of 1958 D pennies that year to meet the needs of a growing economy. These coins entered circulation immediately, spreading across the nation through banks, stores, and everyday transactions. Because the mintage was large, many people assumed the coin must be extremely common and therefore not particularly valuable. However, the world of coin collecting often reveals surprising truths. Even coins with high mintages can become valuable when found in exceptional condition or when they display unusual minting characteristics. Most 1958 D-wheat pennies spent years circulating through the economy, which means they often show signs of wear. Smooth surfaces, faded lettering, and darker copper tones developed through decades of handling. These circulated examples may not carry a high price in the collector market, but they still represent an important piece of American history. Yet when a collector discovers a 1958 D penny in remarkable condition, the story changes dramatically. Coins that have never been used in circulation are known as mint-state specimens, and they often retain their original luster and sharp details. In such coins, Lincoln's hairlines remain crisp, the lettering appears bold, and the wheat stalks on the reverse are clearly defined. Another factor that makes the 1958 D-wheat penny fascinating to collectors is the possibility of rare minting errors. During the minting process, coins are struck by powerful machines using engraved dies. Occasionally, small mechanical imperfections or worn dies can create unusual results. Some coins may show doubled lettering, tiny cracks in the design caused by damaged dies, or slightly off-center strikes. These mint errors are rare and highly sought after by collectors because they transform an ordinary penny into a unique and valuable collectible item. Enthusiasts carefully inspect their coins with magnifying glasses and special lighting, hoping to discover a rare variation that has gone unnoticed for decades. The 1958 D-wheat penny also holds a special place in history because it marks the end of the wheat penny era. After this year, the United States Mint introduced a completely new reverse design featuring the Lincoln Memorial. Beginning in 1959, the familiar wheat stalks disappeared from American pennies, replaced by the image of the famous monument in Washington, D.C. Because of this transition, many collectors see the 1958 coins as the final farewell to the original design that had represented the Lincoln cent since 1909. For those building a complete wheat penny collection from 1909 to 1958, the 1958 D coin represents the final Denver minted piece needed to complete the story. The copper composition of the coin adds another layer of fascination. Like most wheat pennies of its era, the 1958 D was made primarily of copper, giving it a warm reddish color when freshly minted. Over time, copper reacts with air and moisture, gradually changing the color of the coin to deeper shades of brown. Collectors often classify these pennies into categories, such as red, red-brown, or brown, depending on how much of the original mint color remains. Coins that still display their bright red surfaces after more than 6 decades are especially prized, as they indicate exceptional preservation. For many collectors, the excitement of the 1958 D-wheat penny lies not only in its history, but also in the thrill of discovery. Even today, people sometimes find wheat pennies hidden in old jars of coins, inherited collections, or bank coin rolls. Spotting the familiar wheat stalks on the back of a penny instantly sparks curiosity and excitement. The discovery of a 1958 D coin in such places reminds collectors that pieces of history are still waiting to be found in the most unexpected places. Beyond its potential value, the coin also carries a sense of nostalgia and human connection. Each 1958 D-wheat penny once traveled through countless hands during the late 1950s and early 1960s. It might have been used by a child buying candy from a neighborhood store, dropped into a payphone, or saved in a family coin jar. These coins silently witnessed the everyday moments of life during an important period of American history. Holding one today is like holding a tiny piece of that past, a reminder of how small objects can carry powerful stories across generations. In the end, the 1958 D Lincoln wheat penny represents far more than a single cent. It stands as the closing chapter of a design that served the United States for nearly 50 years, a symbol of craftsmanship, history, and everyday life. Whether discovered in circulation, preserved in a collector's album, or passed down through a family collection, this modest copper coin continues to capture the imagination of coin enthusiasts around the world. The next time you encounter a penny dated 1958 with a small D beneath the year, take a moment to examine it closely. That tiny coin may be the final echo of the wheat penny era, and perhaps even a hidden treasure waiting to be recognized.